ब्रह्मानन्दं परमसुखदं केवलं ज्ञानमूर्तिं द्वन्द्वातीतं गगनसदृशं तत्त्वम् अस्यादिलक्ष्यम् एकं नित्यं विमलम् अचलं सर्वधी साक्षिभूतं भावातीतं त्रिगुणरहितं सद्गुरुं तं नमामि सद्गुरुं तं नमामि।
ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः। गुरु न प्राप्यते यत्र नान्यत्रापि हि लभ्यते गुरुप्रसादात् सर्वं तु प्राप्नोत्येव न संशयः। Dear students, knowledge cannot be obtained from anywhere else but the Guru. Only with the blessings of the Guru one attains wisdom. Thus, Guru eliminates ignorance from one's life and fills one with knowledge. It is Guru alone who explains and gives the knowledge of all kinds to a Shishya. Therefore, it is said, Guru has a great place in our life as we gain knowledge about the Lord of the universe, about the cause of our own self, only by our Guru. And Guru reveals the power of timeless, infinite truth to us. So let us salute to our Guru who enlightens us by removing the darkness that blinds our eyes. On the sacred occasion of Guru Purnima, today, let us all express our gratitude to our Guru Parampara. Ashada Purnima is known as Guru Purnima. This Purnima is celebrated across the country by the Hindus to express their reverence, gratitude, and devotion for their Gurus. It is a great day in our culture, students. It is a day to express our gratitude to someone from whom we have only taken in our life. This is also known as Vyasa Purnima. This day is commemorated as birth anniversary of Veda Vyasa. This is one of the most auspicious Purnima in Hinduism. It is said that on this day, Vyasa completed writing and editing the compilation of 4 Vedas. Vyasadeva presented us 4 Vedas, Ashtadasha Puranas, 18 Puranas, and the Itihasa Mahabharata. Vedavyasa Bhagavan is considered as the Adi Guru, the first teacher of the universe. On this sacred day, we worship Vyasadeva, Guru Parampara, and Lord Sri Krishna. We celebrate Guru Purnima every year as a mark of respect to our Gurus, our teachers across the world, and express our gratitude towards them. Today we prostrate all our Gurus on the sacred occasion and let's sing together. He Guru Tume Mangalamaya Krupa Vinu Mukti Kahi. He Guru Tume Mangalamaya Krupa Vinu Mukti Kahi. Dharani Mara Jogya Santana Dharani Mara Jogya Santana Tuma Bina Mukti काहे। हे गुरु तुम्हें मंगलमय, कृपा बिनु मुक्ति काहे। Yes, our gurus are very auspicious, and without the grace by the guru, where is liberation in our life? Yasya smaranamatreena jnanamutpatyate swayam yaeva sarvasam praptihi tasmai shri gurave namaha. The Guru, by whose very remembrance knowledge dawns spontaneously. This is the greatest wealth in our life, that is knowledge. Hence, we should worship the Guru who gives us this greatest wealth. The grace of Lord appears as our Guru only. We need our teacher, mentor, guide to get even ordinary knowledge in our life. And to understand the profound philosophy of life, the hidden truth of self, how much more a Guru is required, students? Just think. Books, Google and other sources just give us information, but not knowledge. They can't correct us when we do mistakes. They can't guide us in darkness. So, Guru only guides us from darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge. We get a Guru in our life only when we have grace of Lord, and Guru only helps us discover Lord within us. Is it not wonderful? Thus, Guru illumines our life. To get a Guru to guide us is the blessing of God. Parents are our Prathama Guru. Let's prostrate parents on this sacred day. Let's prostrate the great lineage of Guru Parampara, which starts from Vedavyasa, Bhagavan Adi Sankaracharya, then to our Gurus. On this sacred occasion, let's celebrate this day dedicated to Gurus. We all prostrate to Puchya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, Puchya Guruji Swami Tejumayananda, Puchya Swami Sharupananda Ji, and all other Acharyas on this particular day. Let Gurudev bless all of us. Today let us offer our gratitude, love and devotion at the lotus feet of our Gurus and respect our Guru Parampara and ask or pray Lord to give us the grace of Gurus throughout our life. Hari Om children. Thank you.
हरि ओम. ओम श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरवे नमः. गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. ध्यानमूलं गुरुर्मूर्तिः पूजामूलं गुरुपदं मन्त्रमूलं गुरुर्वाक्यं मोक्षमूलं गुरुकृपा. Guru is Brahma, Guru is Vishnu, Guru is Maheshwara, Guru is Brahma Swarupa, and Guru's form is the best to meditate upon. Guru's feet are the best for worship. Guru's Vakya is the mantra, and Guru's grace is the root of liberation. That's why it is said, Gurur Nama hi kevalam kalo nasteva 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 gatiranyatha. Today is the auspicious occasion of Guru Purnima. Guru Purnima is celebrated by the Hindus, Buddhists and Jains every year on the full moon day or Purnima Tithi in the month of Ashada according to Hindu calendar. This day commemorates the goodness of all the spiritual gurus because thousands of devotees, they pay their tribute and worship their gurus for enlightenment. The word guru in itself is a paradoxical term. It is mentioned in Sri Guru Gita, Gukaras chandhakaro hi rukaras teja uchyate ajnananasakam brahma gurureva na sansayaha. Gu means darkness and Ru means light. So Guru can be translated as a person who leads the disciple from blindness or ignorance to wisdom. bliss and enlightenment. Guru Shishya Parampara is an age-old tradition in India. It has existed since countless centuries, and this is a divine bond, divine relationship between the Guru and the Shishya. This is the lineage of transmitting the knowledge from a succession of gurus to the disciple through the divine bond and through the relationship that exists between the teacher and the taught, that is the disciple. And this is the day when it is also celebrated as Vyasa Purnima. According to Hindu calendar, this is dedicated to the birth anniversary of Maharshi Vedavyasa, who is called as the Guru of the Gurus. He is called as Adi Guru, and who is the pioneer of this Guru Shishya tradition in India. Maharshi Vedavyasa, he had written the Mahabharata, which is called as fifth Veda. It is said that what is not there in Mahabharata you can't find anywhere else, but what is there in Mahabharata you may find anywhere else. He had written the Vedas, coded all Vedas and divided into 4 parts: Rig, Sama, Yajur, Atharva. He had written the 18 Puranas, and the most famous one, popular one, is Srimad Bhagavatam. He had also written Brahma Sutra along with Badrayana on this very day, Guru Purnima day. He had started writing that. It is mentioned in Gita Dhyanam, stanza number 2. Namostu te vyasa visala buddhe Pullara bindaya tapatra netra Yena toya bharata taila purnaha Prajwalito jnanamaya pradipaha. It means it is addressed to Maharshi Vedavyasa. It is described his eyes are just like the petals of a lotus in a full bloom, and he is a broad wisdom, and what knowledge he has delivered. Mahabharata is written by him, so it is said it is because of him, because of Maharshi Vedavyasa, the lamp of wisdom or the lamp of knowledge is lit, filled with the oil of Mahabharata. So it is believed that on this very day, if we pray the Gurus, then the prayer reaches the Adi Guru, and the blessings of Guru or the Mahaguru can evade the darkness or the blindness or ignorance from the disciple. And this is the day when, according to Buddhist religion, Lord Buddha had delivered his first sermon to his 5 disciples after coming back from Bodh Gaya to Sarnath. This day is celebrated at Teachers' Day in Nepal, and this is the day when Lord Mahavira, he had become the guru of his first disciple Gautama Swami. And according to our Indian tradition, this is the day when our farmers worship God for a good rainfall for the coming harvest. And this is the day when Diksha Grant ceremony takes place, or the people are initiated into the holy order of sannyasa on this very day. And this is the day when Lord Shiva, he had become the Adi Guru. He had taught or given the yogic learning to his 7 disciples or Saptarshis, Kratu, Pullaha, Pulastya, Atri, Angira, Vasishta, Marichi. Now, how Lord Shiva became the first Guru, Adi Guru, let's know. I would like to tell you a story. It is said that in yogic culture, when we say about Shiva, we do not say Lord Shiva, he is Shiva only. Once upon a time, Shiva was dancing wildly on the hill of Himalayas. Foothill of Himalayas, he was dancing wildly, and sometimes he was experiencing something, and ecstatically he was dancing with joy, and sometimes he was at rest. So people saw he was dancing, he was experiencing something, and people could not understand anything. When Shiva was involved in the dance, he was oblivious of what is happening around him, and which people are present around him, that also he did not know. So a group of people saw, they observed, and they felt that he was experiencing something, but they did not understand anything. So they left the place. They went away all. But 7 people, they hung there. They approached Shiva and said that, we want to know what you know. Please teach us what you know, how you are experiencing such bliss, and so ecstatically you are dancing there. Please let us know. We want to know what you know. Then Shiva replied, the way you are, you can never know. It's not fun, it's not entertainment. tremendous practice is required for this. So Shiva dismissed them, ignored them. In spite of being ignored, these 7 people, they did not lose their heart. Patiently, they practiced for 84 years. And after the completion of 84 years, they did not approach Shiva that we have practiced so much, you become our guru. Shiva himself came to them on one full moon day. He observed and he became attentive towards them. He could not ignore them now. He became compassionate towards them. And then for rest 28 days he observed them. And on the next full moon day, next month, he himself became their guru. He told, and what yogic learning he had learnt, he taught them. So he turned first towards the south to shower his knowledge, and from that day this yogic learning started, or yogic science started from that day. And as he turned towards the south to shower his grace upon the people, so he is also called as Dakshinamurti. So without the grace of Guru, we can't acquire any knowledge. And in order to grace of the Guru, get the grace of the Guru, we need not go to search for a Guru to the foothills of Himalayas or anywhere else in the outside world. Guru is not like in physical form, he will be appearing in front of you to help you. So if we have a deep longing to acquire the divine knowledge, Guru will come to us in any form. Guru may come in form of a force, energy, strength, compassion, maybe in form of our parents, teacher, our friends, maybe our junior. Definitely they'll come to us. Lord will send to us if we have deep longing to know the divine knowledge, and if we are aspirant for that, and if we surrender ourselves unto the feet of Guru, and if we are patient, and if we tremendously practice hard, definitely Guru Kripa will be available to us. God will send the Guru to us in any form. It is said in Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, stanza number 7, Arjuna has said there, Karpanya dosopahato sopavaha Prichhami tvam dharma samudha chetaha Yasreyaha saniscinta bruhitanme Sisyasteham tvam satimam prapannam. There in this stanza, Arjuna has requested Lord Krishna to become his guru because he was suffering from Karpanya dosha. He was overpowered by Karpanya dosha. So although Lord Krishna was his friend and cousin, he requested, you become my guru. I am your Saranagata, I am your disciple. So you please teach me how to overcome this flaw of cowardice in me, and please show me or lead me to the path of righteousness. So he had requested, we can know from this that a friend can be a guru, your parents can be a guru, your junior also can be a guru if you learn something from someone. So for that your deep longing should be there. If that is there, then Guru's Kripa, Guru's grace will be available to us in any form. So let's feel proud of this great parampara of ourselves, and let us make ourselves receptive to the process of acquiring divine knowledge and grace through the medium of our spiritual master for our eternal welfare. Hari Om.
Whenever there is a decline in human values, the Lord manifests himself as Guru to uplift humanity from the mire of materialism. At the end of the Dwapara Yuga, Bhagwan manifested in this world in the form of Veda Vyasa Rishi on a Purnima day to save humanity from its extrovertedness. Great was his intellectual brilliance, but greater was his compassion for suffering humanity. He left behind the monumental works like the Mahabharata, the Brahma Sutras, which is an analysis of the great Upanishads, the Bhagavad Gita, and 18 Puranas to suit different people at different levels of evolution. Above all, he preserved the Vedas for posterity by codifying the existing Veda mantras into the 4 Vedas. After accomplishing such a monumental work, he had the vision to realize that this knowledge should be passed on to the next generation if it has to survive. And thus was born the tradition of Guru Shishya Parampara. Hence, it is but appropriate that we spiritual students should remember with profound gratitude Veda Vyasa Bhagavan's contribution in protecting and conserving the eternal glorious heritage till the present day. Vyasa is a great poet, philosopher, and has become an institution representing the Hindu heritage. No spiritual study of Vedic chanting is ever begun without prostration onto its greatest officials. If we must attribute Hinduism to any single individual, there is none else to whom we can best appropriately attribute its present existence and its past glories than Veda Vyasa.
A guru creates a desire for spiritual knowledge and divine in our mind. He even helps us to maintain it, as it is easy to create but difficult to maintain. Yes, secondly, a guru makes our desire for liberation firm, intensifies it, nourishes it, protects it, which makes him Lord Vishnu. Thirdly, in the role of Lord Shiva, who destroys all the accumulated garbage in our brain. Likes, dislikes, greed, anger, and all such impurities which we do not know how to get rid of. Another such meaning of the word guru is jo gurrata hai, one who roars or scolds. He even gets angry with us in order to remove our wrong tendencies. He roars the supreme truth. Even in our ignorance, we think of ourselves as limited, suppressed, helpless creatures. And he is the one who shakes us out of it and provides us the strength and divine potential. Yes, we must surely pray to Swami Tapovan Maharaj, who was the forest of bastarity and knowledge. He was the guru of our beloved guru, Swami Chinmayanandaji. He was a spiritual master and a rare Mahatma who saw divine visuals everywhere, be it in a lifeless stone, jumping monkeys, dancing peacocks, the cows, even in the chopping of birds, and in the poor villages of Himalayan hamlets in the vigorous hills. Every time he was the one who saw the only divine. He was even a very good strict teacher. Something he taught once, he would not repeat it. He led a life of purity and was a rishi of great perfections. His life inspired not only his students but also the casual visitors to think about the divine. A common moral which he frequently emphasizes is non-injury to humans and animals. He was even a master of Shastras. He unstintingly passed on his knowledge to his very able, disciplined Swami Chinmayanandaji, who in turn passed his whole life's mission in propagating the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads to the people all over the world.
So now, we must pray to our Gurudev Swami Chinmayanandaji, about whom we can never say enough. We see his work spread everywhere. Swami Chinmayananda was initiated into Holy Order of Sannyasa by Swami Sivananda Saraswati and belongs to lineage of the Advaita Vedanta of Adi Shankaracharya. Acclaimed as the Hindu of the 20th century, Gurudev was a leader of the time, Yuga Purusha, a great man, Mahapurusha, a divine soul, Divya Purusha, and an ideal for millions, Uttama Purusha. He started as a line crusader and envisaged the very course of spiritual revival and cultural renaissance for India, which is now followed by hundreds of spiritual organizations. To cite an example, many spiritual organizations have developed children's program modeled on the Bal Bihar system and conceived by Gurudev. He founded, managed and handed down an ever-expanding international organization, the Chinmay Mission, which has scores of projects and activities, hundreds of centers and millions of devotees the world over. And he did all this without a management degree. So Gurudev was both a king and a kingmaker.
Short story on the dedication of Eklavya. Eklavya was a young boy living with his tribe deep in the forest. His aim in life was to become the finest archer in the world. He wanted to become a student of Guru Dronacharya. When he asked about it, he was refused due to the low status of his birth. Despite this, Eklavya created a statue of Guru Dronacharya and practiced archery daily in front of it. Soon he became incredibly skilled. One day, when Guru Dronacharya learnt this, he was afraid that a tribal boy surpassed his best student Arjun. So, he called Eklavya and demanded him to sacrifice his right thumb as his Guru Dakshina. Without any hesitation, Eklavya immediately cut off his right thumb and gave it to Guru Dronacharya. But after that day, Eklavya was unable to become the best archer in the world. Even today, Eklavya is praised for the Guru Dakshina he gave and is always remembered as a devoted student.
Namah